2 weeks I've been vaping on this. No, not my hand. There's an actual mod inside here, but this mod is called the Mini Volt by Council of Vapor. Smallest, most compact, regulated mod in the world right now. Let me tell you something. He's a cutie. No homo, but he is. I call this my errand boy. And whenever I go out, I cannot leave home without this. And the tank I've been using is the Mini Super Tank by Tobacco. It's just a great setup, man. 22 millimeter tank on this mod looks awesome. Any 22 millimeter tank, but this, woo! This and the Vaporesso tank is what I've been using. This mostly, I don't know what it is. It just looks killer. It feels killer. Everything sits flush. And watch this. She fits in my shirt pocket, my front shirt pocket like so. And I mean, whoop, whoop, what? I mean, look at it. You can't even see it. You can't even see it. Tiny, 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 actually beyond tiny. You know, the video does not do it justice. You really have to get this mod in your hand to really appreciate how small it is, how great it feels for how small it is, how great it feels for the price point. We'll get into that. Hell, I got a few friends that vape that are little people, and they held this, and it just, their hand swallowed it up. That's how small it is. So you guys know the drill. We're going to go ahead and dive down. I'm going to show you this thing up close and personal. We're going to come back, talk about the pros and the cons of this Mini Volt, and then I'm going to let you know if I'd lost this sucker today when I go out tomorrow and buy one. Alrighty, so here's a close-up view of this Mini Volt by Council of Vapor. A few specs for you. She's 55 millimeter by 34 millimeter by 22 millimeter. Another thing I do want to point out, this Mini Volt comes with a USB cable for charging. And as you guys can see around the outside, at the base, and then at the top of this mod, you get this rubberized finish, and I'll tell you, it feels great. Never gets too hot, never gets too cold, just right. And then in the center, you get this carbon fiber wrap, which also feels fantastic. On the side, you got your function buttons, fire button, wattage up, wattage down buttons. Again, nice clicky buttons. And at the top of this mod, you get your 510 connection with a spring-loaded 510 pin. Here is your menu screen. Another subjective con I gotta point out, the menu screen is tiny, man. It is small. At the base of this mod, you got your USB port for charging. Over here in the corner, you got a little pinhole for battery venting, but another subjective con I gotta point out, since the USB port is at the base, when you charge it, you gotta lay it down. You gotta take your device off, lay it down. For some of you guys, that may be a con. On the back of this device, at the base, it says COV, Council of Vapor, and you got 3 little divots at the top. On one side it says Mini Volt, on the other it says nothing. It's just a really simple, sleek looking device. Alrighty, so here's a size comparison I want to show you. 2 18650s next to this sucker. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Crazy! And it's about the same width as 2 18650s together. Another size comparison for you. Here's the Twisted Messes 150 watt dual 18650 mod. Now this is a nice mod, man, and you got more features obviously, but here's a comparison. Look at that. Check that out. That's just nuts. Nuts for butts! Again, this is a 40 watt device. This is a 150 watt device. But still, I just wanted to show you a comparison. This is about your average size box mod, maybe a little bit larger. Some more specs for this Mini Volt. Inside this mod is a built-in 1300 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. And because it's built in, it's gonna be another subjective con for you guys. And you know, to me, I like it. I like it. It's more convenient. I don't have to pop my batteries out, pop them back in there. But there are vapors out there, and a lot of them that want to pop their batteries out, charge them up, pop them back in. And also, it takes 3 hours to fully charge this Mini Volt. To turn this device on, what you got to do is hit the fire button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. COV. Then you got the menu screen, wattage, battery gauge, resistance, standard. You got different ramp modes. We'll get into that. To turn her off, same thing. 5 clicks the fire button. Now if you hit the wattage up or wattage down buttons, nothing happens. And it's because the wattage is constantly locked, which I like. In order to unlock the wattage, you got to hold down the fire button, the wattage up button down at the same time. And you can scroll 0.1 increments, or hold it down and she scrolls fast, pretty fast. And you can vapor between 5 watts and 40 watts. And then when you have it to your preferred, all you got to do is hit the fire button and she stops blinking, she's ready to go. Now in order to adjust the ramp up modes, what you got to do is hold the fire button down, the wattage down button down at the same time. She'll start to blink, and then you use the wattage up, wattage down to adjust. Power, soft, standard, power, soft, standard. Power is the strongest ramp up mode, soft is the weakest, standard, standard. I like to just keep it at standard. Hit the fire button when you have it set and you're rocking it and rolling. Also, while this device is on, if you tap the wattage up 3 times and the wattage down 3 times, watch what happens. You got the version 1.11, and just information about the chip. I'll do it again. Now, another con I do want to mention that really is a con to me that I did not mention, or I'm not going to mention in FaceTime, is the fact that this does not have temperature control. But being that it's only 35 bucks, come on. I mean, you can't knock it. This thing is made super well for 35 bucks, even if it doesn't have temperature control. Hell, Council Vapor, if you guys are watching, make this thing have temperature control in the version 2. Same size if you can. That would be awesome. And just charge more. I mean, I know it's going to be more if it has temperature control. So that right there is an up-close view of this Mini Volt by Council of Vapor. Let's go ahead and take her back to FaceTime. Pro time, price point 1, 35 bucks for this. What? The way this thing feels, it feels like double, triple that. And the fact that this is the smallest regulated mod in the world right now, smallest that I've ever seen, ever dealt with, that is a big kick-ass pro as well. To me, it packs a great punch for how small this thing is. Like I said, this is a 40 watt mod. Now, to some of you guys out there that want to vape 100 watts, 150, 200 watts, you don't need this. This isn't for you. But you know what? For a lot of these other guys, these vapors, a lot of the vapors that I know that like to vape at 40 watts, hell, like to vape at 20 watts, 25 watts, this is going to be a super treat. Everything I screw onto this device screws down, makes a connection, sits flush, and I'll tell you what, the 22mm devices, I've been using mostly the Mini Super Tank and the Vaporesso Tank, and those have been looking spiffy on this. Now the cons, okay, most of these cons are going to be subjective, but the first one is this does not have upgradable firmware. Second, again, another subjective con, but battery life, okay, like I showed you, this has got a built-in 1300 milliamp hour battery, and some of you vapors who chain vape and vape at its max, you're not going to want this, man, because you're going to go through the battery life fast. But for me, I vape every 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you know, I could go freaking 3, 4, 5 hours before I have to recharge this. And then the last subjective con is the screen cuts off permanently every 5 to 10 minutes. And what I mean by permanently, once it cuts off, you have to go in and turn the device back on, 5 clicks. Some of you guys, you're not going to like that. To me, I know why it's doing that. It's trying to conserve the battery life. So it's not a big deal. Only 5 clicks, boom, 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 and it's back on, and you're rocking and rolling. But I could see how it could be a con to some of you guys out there. You know what? I do want to point this out. This may be another subjective con, but the mini screen being at the top, some vapors are going to be like, you know, they're going to question the juice getting on there. Is it going to get in the mini screen? Is it going to, you know, kill the circuitry or whatever? That being said, I haven't had any issues, but I'm not using an RDA. I'm not over dripping. I'm not getting tons of juice on that mini screen. So I can't tell you whether, you know, over a long period of time it's going to affect it or not. All I can say is I haven't had any issues yet, and I've gotten some juice on there. Not crazy amounts, but some. So the online shop that sent this mod to me to review for you guys is selling it for only 35 bucks. You know, I thought this was going to be at least like 60, 65, 70 bucks, and then I saw the price point and I was like, but yeah, in the description, I'll post a link to where you could find this mod. Also, I want to mention this. The Mini Super Tank, the same site that I'm going to post a link to find this, Mini Volt, sells the Mini Super Tank. I haven't reviewed it. I don't plan on reviewing it because I reviewed the Super Tank, and this is just a smaller, more compact version. The Super Tank, it vapes just as good. The airflow is great. I've never get any leaking. It's just a kick-ass, convenient tank, and it looks at tits on this mod. It's a good setup. Now on to the big question, the big answer of the day. Again, I'm going to skip the mumbo jumbo and get right to it. I would definitely buy it. Hell yes. 40 watts is plenty for, especially for the size. And like I said, this is my errand boy. I can't go anywhere without it. If I'm out and about, I'm carrying this with me. Oh yeah. This is RiP Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.